This week's episode of Hackadoll was really sad at the end, guys. It was really sad. I, however, think that Hackadoll 3 fans are really happy because minority of this episode was dedicated to her, or him, as we find out in the beginning of this episode. Because when he goes to the toilet to pee, he is like, "Where's my thing? Where's my thing?" And that shocked me because I had actually seen or always thought that Hackadoll 3 was a girl like the other Hackadoll, so this shocks me a bit. It really shocks me. I'm I'm kind of hoping this is just a parody because of this episode and not actually canon that Hackadoll 3 is a guy, because that would make me kind of sad after what I saw in this episode. But let's talk about what else happens. Yeah, let's say it like this. When Hackadoll 3 runs out of the toilet and basically screams, "Ah!" Then Hackadoll 1 comes and says, "I have drills for hands." And at that moment I was like, oh my god, what can they do to Hackadoll 2? Then I see what it is, and luckily it wasn't so bad as I had imagined, because all that has happened with her was that her legs had been replaced with jet exhausts. You know, those that basically spew the flames. So, yeah. And then we see Hackadoll Zero, who, let me say it like this, the thing I first thought of when I saw her was a Transformers, one of the Decepticons, you know, the planes like Starscream, but not that one, the purple one. I cannot recall it since it's so long since I've seen Transformers First Generation. And then we find out that the reason why the cyberspace that they live in is so fucked up is because of Hackadoll 4, which has actually turned into an 8-bit version of herself. So yeah, and now they have to fix it. However, they have to send Hackadoll 3 because she is the only one that is fit to go out in the world because of, she looks normal. And it's funny how she says, "But I'm also fucked up," and then she puts up her skirt and then shows that she doesn't have a thing. Which, and then says, "Do I have to stay a girl forever?" Man, again, if I say she, that's about Hackadoll 3, that is because I think of her as a girl and not as a guy. So sorry about that in future episodes or in this episode. Or technically, I will not be that bad in this because minority of this episode is actually her as a girl. But let's get into what this call was about. This is actually a guy uh, or a kid that lives alone in a mansion because his parents works all the time. So he doesn't have any friends. The only friends he has is the butler, and he's just there to basically ensure that he is not, getting hurt and basically ensuring that he eats, etc. and stuff. So when Hackadoll 4 comes, what he asks of her is just to play with him, and I must say I really love this, especially when he says that to the butler that he has to get her in a normal clothes. And let me say it like this: she looks so pretty in that clothes. I would almost say that at that moment, I actually prefer her over Hackadoll for 2. I'm not kidding. I prefer her over that. And over the course of this episode, she actually moves up to my number 2, or a shared number 1 to be exact, with Hackadoll 2. So yeah, but let's just talk about this episode. It's so funny to see how they play, and she is so adorable. And then when they make fun of, that the cliche with basically like the wife saying, "Would you rather have dinner, a bath, or me?" When she basically lays and says, "The dinner isn't ready, the the bath isn't ready, nothing is ready," and then how he's basically like, when he sees that that sleuth, I cannot recall, ribbon, yes, in her hair is basically like not tied correctly. he says, "You're a worthless wife," as basically loving, and she says, "Yes, I'm a worthless wife," and it's so beautiful, man. And then when she gets contacted by the other Hackadolls and says that the system is fixed now, so she should go back to normal now. And then when the butler says that Hackadoll 3 has to go home now, she, he, the boy, he basically says, "No, I don't want to." And then we get that explanation about his parents and why he's alone. And if she didn't have fun, and she had fun playing with him, he's kind of like her, a bit lonely. So yeah, and he runs away with her. And let's say like this: the way he basically says to her is like, "Stay with me forever, marry you. You should marry me," basically, and then runs away with her. And then when they stop at the water, what it's called, the side, near the water, and she basically glows and says, "I don't think I can stay with you," and pulls the ribbon and gives it to him. And the look he gives, man, it's, oh man, it's so sad. Then when he gives it back to her and says that she has to keep it, she has to keep it. As even thought he has seen that she's actually a guy, or I think that is what happened. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is what happened. He still gives her the ribbon and tells it to keep hold on it until they meet again. Basically, a promise of meeting in the future, love. And then when we see at the end, basically the two Hackadolls, Hackadoll 1 and 2, standing on standing on each side of her, and then the two final scenes is her looking at the ribbon she holds in her hand, and then basically like particles that dissolves. This is basically symbolizing that this love will never be. This will never be this love. That is so sad. Because man, oh, this scene, that love scene was so beautiful, guys. I couldn't believe that this was Hackadoll because of the way they did it, man. I, I must be honest with you guys. I had to retake this a lot of times in order to get it correct because I was one of those where I got the farthest so far was basically I started to cry. I started to cry over that scene, guys. But and I actually would like to know, how do you feel about this episode? Did you feel the same way as I did? That it was beautiful, and really sad at the end? And when that is said and done, guys, I think I'm gonna wish you all a good day, good night, wherever you are, and I will see you later. Cheers, guys.